welcome to another up close video. So this one is for the Tonic shaker creators, which are basically a sheet of kind of thinner acetate than you would usually use for a shaker card, but they've already scored it for you in the size of the card and given you tabs on the edges with a wide strip of red liner tape. So the basic idea of these, this is going to just be a quick video just to show you the basic idea of them and a couple of samples that I've done, but the idea is that you cut your card panel to just slightly smaller than the interior of the score lines of the rectangle, and then you make your card on the card blank. So you do your background, add some stamping, all sorts of stuff, and then you seal 3 sides of the actual pocket around your card. Then you leave the top one open, and then you can add your shaker elements. On these ones they've kind of used sequins, gems, lots of sequins really, and confetti, but obviously you can use anything you want to in there. You can use little die cuts, you can use big die cuts, you can use micro beads, confettis, maybe not glitter. I think glitter might be a bit too staticky and you might get it all over your card and then lose what's actually behind it, but you can then trap all of that inside as if it's a shaker card, but it's actually as like a self-contained pocket, and you don't have to use foam tape, so it's flatter than a shaker card unless you pack it full of a load of stuff. And I guess it's kind of sort of simpler than a shaker card, and it actually, well, it's definitely simpler than trying to make a full panel shaker front of a card, because if you think about it, you would have to hide the foam tape somewhere, so you would have to have a frame to be able to make a full shaker card you know, panel piece. So it's basically eliminating the need to add a frame around your card to get the whole card front to be a shaker. But saying that, if you love making really large cards, you can just add these as a layer onto a larger card as well. For example, the square one, you could layer it up onto an 8x8 square. This one could go on more of an A5 sized card, or the smaller one could go on more of a 5x7 sort of sized card as well. So there are 4 different ones. Each packet has 5 of them in there. And they're completely flat. They're actually enclosed in a cellophane bag inside, so they're going to stay nice. You're not going to be able to mess them up through the little window that's in there, which is lovely. And they're all pre-lined with double-sided tape, which is their super sticky red liner tape as well. So do make sure you get it in the right place before you stick it down, because on one of mine I kind of ripped the top of my card. I'll probably leave that bit in my sped up video, but I've got 2 cards to show you that I filmed in a sped up video that should be up day after tomorrow maybe, because I think the kit's launching around the same time as these, so it will sort of alternate between these and the kit videos. But also, I think they're just something different to try in your card making as well, which is really nice. So there are 4 different ones to choose from. Whether you get all of them, I'm sure there'll be some kind of offer to get all of them, and I think they're bringing out some sentiments to go with them as well. I've used 2 of them on my cards, but I think there's 7 in total. Lots of different kind of sentiments like what's up and how you doing and hello there, HB to you, and you know, stuff like that, that you could use alongside these. Whether you actually have that as the shaker element inside it as well, you actually get the bubble for the sentiment, so you could mount the intricate sentiment onto the bubble and have it shaking inside the shaker pouch as well, which would look really lovely. So the 4 different sizes, the 2 that I've used are these 2 because they're my 2 favourite sizes of card to make. So you have the A2 shaker pocket, which is 4.25 inches by 5.5 inches, that's 4.25 by 5.5 inches, which you can use portrait or landscape. Then the next size is more of a slimline size than a DL size. I think slimline is slimmer than a DL card. So I mean, in England we would say a DL card is more 4 inches by 8 inches because it's double the length, but these shaker pockets are 3.5 inches by 8 inches. So if you map them onto a DL card, you do actually have a nice white border around the edge of them, which is really lovely, and you can trim down the height slightly so that you get an equal border around the edge if you're looking for that kind of look. Although if you leave the longer bit along the bottom, it kind of gives a sort of panoramic Polaroid kind of a look to the card as well, which is quite nice. But that is the this is called the 3.5 by 8 inch shaker pockets. They're more of a slimline size than a DL size, but they would work on a DL card as well. Then we have got the 5x7 shaker pockets, which you can guess what size card they fit on, but you could also mount them up onto an A5 size card, or even onto an A4 size card if you want to make a really big card, and then that could be like your topper and you mat and layer around it. And then you can also get the 6x6 shaker pockets too, which again, you could mat and layer up onto an 8x8 card if you like making bigger cards as well. So those are the 4 different sizes. And then I've got a couple samples to show you with these 2. So these are the 2 that I did, and there will be a sped up video in the next few days showing you the creation of these. And I actually did them. In my stamp club video for the Wales, which is the newest stamp club, I did actually mention how you could have a whale moving inside it, and then as I was making these I was like, oh yeah, I mentioned that, but I obviously didn't show it. But look, you can actually do it in one of these shaker pockets as well. You can have that little whale shaking in there and all of the little elements. So I've got the whale moving on a string. It's on a piece of invisible thread, and you just don't pull it taut, you leave it a little bit loose, and then you can have your little whale shaking in there. And then you can also have like the little seahorses and the little Finding Nemo sort of fish and starfish and all sorts shaking in there. I have also put, you can probably hear them, microbeads in there because it's a little bit staticky. I did actually, you'll see me in the video, use anti-static powder on these elements that I've left shaking, and also on some of these because they had a little bit of sticky residue left from the tape when I was die cutting them. But having the microbeads in there really helps the confetti to move because it kind of knocks them off and stops them from sort of sticking everywhere. Although it's a little bit sort of staticky, it's not too bad. I think if you had used glitter or put more confetti in than this and then you shook it, it might all stick inside. But having the little fine confetti, I've got like the little, what are they called? Aqua Flakes. I've used Aqua Flakes, turquoise stars and mermaid parade stars in this one. So I've got 2 different sizes of stars, the little strands, and then microbeads, as well as all of the little die cut pieces in there too, and then the little whale that's on the wobbly string as well. And this is one of the sentiments. It just says HB to you, which means happy birthday to you. And then I put have a Whaley great day as well, because I had to bring in one of those punny sentiments for the whales. And then the other one I did was fairy themed, because I looked on the website and the fairy ones still seem to be in stock of the Stamp Club, so I thought I would use this again while I could. I've just kept it to a really limited colour palette. I've actually used all of the same shaker pieces in here, as well as the microbeads, and she is the only big thing moving in there. Whereas with this one I had put small little creatures in there moving. I just made her move on the string in this one, so she can kind of wiggle backwards and forwards on the string in there. And I just used that gorgeous frame from that Stamp Club as well, a couple of the toadstools, and then the new sentiment Hello There, which I've just coloured in a couple of colours to match how I've coloured the rest of the card. And all of the colouring is done with the Nuvo alcohol pens as well, the new ones, with a little bit of ink blending in the background with a Broken China Distress ink and some of the Tonic Nuvo blending brushes as well. So this is how I've decided to use them. This one is the A2 pocket, because do you remember this one is sort of like in proportion to an A2 kind of size card, so it works really nicely on top of these. And then I've matted it onto a card that is bigger. You'll probably see in my videos a lot that I tend to take 6x6 square cards and trim them down, because you can turn them into a top folding or a side folding A6 or A2 kind of sized card, which I really love. So this actually worked to still fit on a 6x6 card and trimmed it down. So I've actually made this card 4.5 inches by 5 3/4 inches, and that gives a nice little extra white border around the shaker pocket, just adding on like 1/2 inch from the actual dimensions of the shaker pocket as well. And then this one is my sort of slimline DL one, and this one actually measures 3 3/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. So again, it's a 1/4 inch extra on the a 1/4 inch extra on the dimensions that they give you on the packaging for my card blank. And then the piece of card inside, you want to be slightly smaller than the dimensions that they say, because you'll notice in the video when I was doing this one, I'd attached the whale, then tried to put the shaker pouch around it and realised my height of this panel was too large. So I had to take the whale off and trim down the height and then tuck it back round again. So do double check that your main background piece of card fits inside the folded folded up shaker pocket before you know, start to try and assemble it. It would be much easier if you do that. And on this one, I actually made the panel, you know, trimmed off a slight extra bit as well, so you can see some of the clear here. So you've actually got part of the clear pocket showing around the edge, whereas on this one, it's really nice and tightly butted up to the edge of the card. So you can kind of do that whichever way you want to as well. And just make sure, I mean, it's probably better to do it like this if you're going to be using micro beads, although they haven't fallen out of this one. I guess it's because you have that red liner tape all over the back of those large tabs, so if any micro beads are going to gather around here, they're probably just going to stick to the tape rather than try and come out of a tiny hole or anything. So I've really been enjoying these shaker pockets. If you're a big fan of shaker cards, I think there's something really interesting to try. And having them already done for you as well with all of the red liner tape on is a real time saver too. It didn't take me too much longer to create a shaker pocket card than it would have if I just like stuck all of these pieces onto the card, which is really lovely. And the nice thing is that you can add on top of the shaker pocket, so you don't have to just have everything underneath it. I mean, maybe if you were sending a card abroad and you didn't want it to get like damp in the rain, like lots of rainy weather and stuff, it would be quite nice just to have everything underneath the pocket, because then you know nothing's going to happen to it. But you know, if it doesn't really matter, you know, you can add extra pieces on top, which is really lovely and really build depth, especially with this gorgeous whale set, which is the newest Stamp Club. It's really nice to have that perspective of adding some of the seaweed on top of the pocket, some behind, so the shaker stuff falls in front of and behind some of the elements as well. And I really love having the whale on the wiggly bit of string in there too, and the fairy on the string too. It just gives a really lovely extra kind of characteristic to the card. So as well as it just being a general shaker, you've got that little element in there as well. So I hope you enjoyed this pretty quick up close video. Just wanted to show you these shaker pockets in case you're curious about them, and there'll be a sped up video soon showing you how I created these two cards as well. So the links for them will be in the description box below the video as well in case you're interested. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!